When you hear the word millionaire, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Maybe it's a waterfront apartment with Sydney Harbour views, or a sleek Mercedes-Benz parked outside a modern home in Mosman. Maybe it's sipping oat lattes from a boutique cafe in Surrey Hills, and jumping on first-class flights to Bali at a moment's notice. But not all millionaires live like that. In fact, in Australia, being a millionaire can mean very different things, depending on how that money is held, or how it's earned. So today, let's unpack a question that we don't ask enough. Are all millionaires the same? Because having 1 million in net worth is not the same as making $1 million a year, and that's definitely not the same as having 1 million sitting in an investment portfolio. And we're not even talking about multi-millionaires. These are three totally different financial lives, and they feel very different too. So let's find out. Let's start with Lisa. She's 49 years old, lives in a suburb of Brisbane, and works full-time as a public high school teacher. Her net worth sits just over 1 million, but if you met her, you wouldn't think millionaire. Most of her wealth is tied up in her house, which is worth about $850,000. The rest is in her superannuation. She doesn't own investment properties, she doesn't have a share portfolio, and her bank account doesn't have hundreds of thousands sitting around. But technically, on paper, Lisa is a millionaire. She takes home around $90,000 a year, which works out to be $6,000 per month after tax. That money covers everyday life, groceries, utilities, the occasional vet bill for her rescue cat Biscuit, and petrol for her 10-year-old car. She's not struggling, but she's also not jet setting around the world or blowing money on designer clothes. Lisa is what many people call asset-rich cash poor. Most of her wealth is in her home, which is great for long-term security, but doesn't translate into disposable income unless she sells it, downsizes, or takes out a reverse mortgage later in life. On weekends, she enjoys a quiet routine. She grabs a coffee from her local cafe, she's on the first-name basis with the barista, and shops at the weekend farmers market. Holidays, nothing fancy. She'll drive out to Toowoomba to visit her sister, or book a 2-night Airbnb somewhere in regional Queensland during school holiday. She's incredibly money-savvy. Lisa tracks every dollar in a spreadsheet. She waits for sales, buys toilet paper in bulk when it's half price, and uses every loyalty program she can find. Her phone is 4 years old. Most of her wardrobe is Kmart or Target, but she's happy, stable, and doesn't worry much about keeping up with anyone else's lifestyle. So yes, Lisa is a millionaire, but is she rich? That depends on how you define it. Now, let's meet Josh. He's 35, lives in a high-rise apartment in South Bank right in the heart of Melbourne, and earns over $1 million a year. You heard that right, 7 figures. Josh is a senior tech consultant and a startup advisor. He's got multiple income streams, a base salary, bonuses, performance shares, and the occasional equity deal from a new app or fintech client. On paper, he's absolutely killing it. His life looks exactly like what you expect from someone in that income bracket. His mornings start with oat lattes from a place where you don't order at the counter, there's an app. He's in and out co-working spaces, mentoring founders, jump on Zoom calls with teams in Singapore or San Francisco. At night, it's either a networking event, a pitch night, or a gym session at a luxury wellness club where the towels are fluffier than most people's bathrobes at home. Sundays are for brunch, standard $30 plate, plus sides, plus smoothies, plus someone always orders truffle fries. And then there are the work trips, which, let's be honest, are 70% leisure. Josh flies business class to Hong Kong, LA, Singapore. He packs his laptop, sure, but he also books spa time and stays an extra 2 nights. So yeah, Josh is living the life. But here's what might surprise you. Despite earning over $1 million a year, his net worth is only about $400,000. How? Because the spending keeps pace with the income. The Tesla lease, the $250 dinners, the tech gadgets and designer sneakers, it adds up fast. Uber Eats is basically a daily habit. He once bought a standing desk for $2,500, used it for a month, then went back to working from the couch. He's got 4 unopened Amazon packages in his hallway. He literally forgot what's in them. He does save roughly $250,000 a year, but even then, a lot of it goes back into higher risk plays like crypto or chasing the next startup unicorn. He uses 3 different finance apps and tracks his net worth on a dashboard, but admits he hasn't looked at his super in over a year. Probably maxed out. The thing is, Josh's lifestyle feels like wealth, but is built on high cash flow, not deep financial security. He's got liquidity, not legacy. Comfort, not compounding. He's not rich in the traditional sense of having assets that will support him long term. He's just earning a lot right now. And if that income stops, it'll be a sharp reset. Remember Lisa, the teacher we met earlier? She owns her home outright and has $1 million net worth. Josh earns that much in a single year. It's true, a lot of it goes to ATO. And this is why income alone doesn't tell the full story. It gives you power, yes, but only if you know how to keep it. Otherwise, you're just living on a higher tier of the same treadmill. Now, let's talk about Harper. She's 38, lives in the inner west of Sydney, not the flashy waterfront part, but a renovated semi in a leafy suburb like Summerhill. Local bakeries, community parks, and good espresso are all within walking distance. Harper works in a private equity firm and earns just over $1 million a year, similar to Josh. But her lifestyle couldn't be more different. She's low-key, intentional, and if you met her at a dinner party, you probably wouldn't guess she was a high-income earner at all. Harper's house is lovely, but not overdone. She bought it 5 years ago for $1.3 million and paid off half of the mortgage aggressively in the first 2 years. She drives a 6-year-old Mazda CX-5, not because she can't afford more, but because it runs well and she doesn't care about cars. She still makes her own lunch most days, shops at Harry's Farm or Aldi, tracks her spending with a Google sheet she built herself, and reviews her numbers every Sunday with a coffee in hand. Not because she's obsessed with saving, but because she likes knowing where her money's going. She's a high-income earner, but she doesn't live like the income is guaranteed, because she knows it's not. Harper dines out once or twice a week, places she loves. She travels smartly. Instead of business class trips twice a year, she plans one longer, meaningful overseas trip, often off-season and often mixed with remote work. She spends money where it brings her joy: quality food, a good mattress, a second-hand piano she found on Gumtree. But the flashy stuff, she skips it. Here's the real difference. Harper invests over 60% of her income. She maxes out her concessional super contributions. She holds a diversified portfolio across ETFs, global equities, and commercial rates. And she has a clear goal: work by choice by the time she's 45. Her current net worth, just over $2.6 million, and rising fast. She's fully aware of the opportunity her income gives her and doesn't waste it. So here's the contrast. Josh and Harper earn the same. One is living the millionaire lifestyle, but without the wealth to back it up. The other is building financial freedom, quietly, steadily, with intention. High income can be a trap or a launchpad. And what do you do with it? That's what separates rich from wealthy. Let's meet Karen and Steve. They are 61 and 64 years old, living in a calm, intentional life tucked away in Adelaide Hills. From the outside, nothing screams millionaire. No flash car, no designer gear, no big city real estate portfolio. But behind the scenes, these two have quietly built something solid. Between their ETFs, handpicked blue chips, and term deposits, they've got around $1.2 million in investable assets. Add in the value of their fully paid home, superannuation, and their total net worth is sitting around $4.2 million. They're not working full-time anymore. Karen left her accounting job a few years back. Steve works part-time in an engineering firm. They're not chasing the hustle. They're not stressing about bills. They are drawing about $100,000 a year from their investments and super, more than enough to cover their lifestyle. Their mornings are slow. Karen starts her day with yoga and a homemade flat white. Steve is usually in the garden by 7 a.m., pruning his veggie patch and listening to personal finance podcasts on long-term investing. Their bookshelf has more financial books than cookbooks, but they are the kind of people who always bring a homemade salad to a barbecue. They take their camper van out twice a year, no itineraries, no resorts, just a rough idea of the route, coastal towns, bush camps, maybe a local winery or two. For them, that's luxury, freedom without pressure. They're practical spenders. They box shop at Aldi. Karen is a master at credit card points. She's flown to Melbourne for free more times than she can count. They budget carefully, but not restrictively. Their home is cozy, heated properly in winter, and they don't stress about turning on the aircon during a heat wave. And they're generous too. When their daughter was ready to buy her first home, they gifted her $10,000 for the deposit. No drama, no strings attached, just a quiet, "we're proud of you." Their finances are a thing of beauty. Spreadsheet tabs, color-coded, dividend payout days mapped out 6 months in advance. They use a portfolio tracker to track their investments. They know where every cent is, but they're not obsessed with watching their portfolio rise. Karen and Steve don't feel rich. And honestly, that's the point. They're not chasing status or attention. They don't need to keep up. They are the kind of millionaires that you walk past at a farmer's market and never think twice about. That's their version of luxury. And honestly, That's one a lot of us could learn from. So, are all millionaires the same? Not even close. You got one who built wealth slowly through her home, one who earns big but spends just as fast, one who's using high income intentionally to build real wealth, and one who quietly grew an investment portfolio into freedom. In Australia, being a millionaire isn't as simple as it sounds because at the end of the day, money is just a tool. What matters is how you use it and what it means for your time, your stress levels, your family, and your future.